What's up, everybody? If you want to join the greatest online Star Wars community, the Fandom Menace, make sure you hit that subscribe button before today's video starts, so you don't miss out on any updates and you're always the first to know when our newest videos go live.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
It is now accepted among historical scholars that in the decades before the collapse, America suffered from the sickness of racism and cultural identity. Everyone wanted to be seen as special. Every group had to be equal, or to be preferably better than its neighbors, and it fought to protect its special rights. If anyone had something that someone else wanted, they were painted as a racist, sexist, elitist, or worse. This divisive me-first attitude eventually tore the fabric of American culture apart and caused it to self-destruct in a fireball of competing ideologies, none of which truly recognized each other's validity. Diversity led inexorably to anarchy. If I told you this eerie prophecy was written in 1988 and comes from the Cyberpunk 2020 rulebook, would you believe me? Can you believe that something from 30 years ago so accurately depicts modern society? We've reached the boiling point where identity politics reign supreme online. In our entertainment, this trend has been infecting things we love since at least 2014. We can trace it back to Gamergate. Then the comic book fell into the pit of oblivion, as characters that we've known and loved for decades were sacrificed for weaker, less developed, and quite frankly, less marketable characters. Finally, we're at the point where our films have begun to suffer. Star Wars is now a shell of its former self. Star Trek is a damn joke. On TV, Doctor Who is forgettable. And now the most tragic of all, the MCU is now broken. After the announcement of Marvel's Phase 4 at San Diego Comic-Con 2019, the internet released a collective sigh of indifference as a wave of underwhelming shows paired with a weak film slate was combined with the announcement of Natalie Portman as Thor in Thor: Love and Thunder. For those who don't read comics, it was a moment of confusion as to them, Thor is a man, played by Chris Hemsworth. For longtime readers, it was a moment of anguish as our biggest fear in the MCU was realized. They're adapting modern Marvel. Like a moth to the flame or flies to shit, the outrage mob moved in the moment anyone voiced their displeasure with the announcement. Sexist, racist, and the most heinous offender, it's about time, were all shouted at the top of their stunted lungs. For those who champion useless change, this is a point of pride to watch great entertainment fall. To them, it is strictly about their message, and quality storytelling be damned. Pandering would be a good word to describe what's going on these days in entertainment. Companies are pandering to a crowd that doesn't like their product. They're hoping they'll bring in a new audience with an odd worldview, and they'll hope that they'll spend money on their products. They get constant approval from social media, but when the big day comes, these companies realize that social media engagement doesn't equal money. What I find odd is how all of these companies are doing this at once. It's not a gradual thing like when Ra's al Ghul had the League of Shadows introduce the poison into the Gotham City water supply. It's like a shot to the head. One day everything's okay, and the next, BAM! Everything around you changes, and you bleed out, wondering if you're the sane one, or has the world gone to hell? Now clearly if you spent any time on this channel, and if you're new here, welcome and subscribe, you've heard us describe Star Wars at great length. The conversation about the integration of modern identity politics began way back in 2015 when we saw two of our three protagonists, Rey and Finn. Rey is a woman and Finn is a black man, and the internet erupted with praise for Disney and disdain for anyone less than 100% enthusiastic. And that's where we find one of our biggest problems facing entertainment. The constant need to promote a product as the first of its kind. In Star Wars, the world acted like Finn was the first black person ever to appear, and Rey was the first woman. In the case of a black man in Star Wars, we cite a little-known character known as Wilro Hood, or as the fans call him, the ice cream maker guy. There was also another one, a guy by the name of Lando Calrissian. But the fans didn't really like him, and Disney would never use him again. With Rey, the internet collectively forgot about Princess Leia and how accomplished she was. Not only was she a fleshed-out character with agency and emotion, she was also damn cool. Another thing that made Princess Leia great was that she couldn't do everything. She relied on Han Solo to fly the ship, or Luke Skywalker to... Well, she was a much better shot than Luke, but she still couldn't fly. She was also able to defeat the one thing Han Solo couldn't escape, Jabba the Hutt. Princess Leia was a layered character who grew as the trilogy progressed. With Rey, she started out a flat, boring, perfect character that could do everything, including defeat the bad guy. When we got to the second chapter of the story, she was exactly the same. She showed no character growth, just a flat, boring, idealized character. I'd venture to guess that she'll be exactly the same in The Rise of Skywalker. Rey fails in the same way that characters like Captain Marvel do. They're idealized versions of what a small sect of society expects strong women to be, and in these examples, the idea of a strong woman is essentially making her more like a man. These characters come off as unlikable and turn off a portion of the audience. Then, just like we discussed earlier, the outrage mob comes to start a fight and make it personal. Marvel Studios really loves to tout that they're the first to do something. They really drove home the point of Black Panther being Marvel's first black superhero, and the internet ate it up. But unlike Captain Marvel and Rey from Star Wars, Black Panther was a fleshed out character with depth. He was introduced very well in Captain America Civil War, and by the time we got to his solo film, we had a better picture of who he was. If we compare both of Marvel's first films, Black Panther is clearly the better of the two. Not only was it the superior film, but the hype surrounding the film was far less abrasive than anything Brie Larson said. We get a similar, crazy response from the internet when we, the same people, oppose the next topic on our list: gender swaps, reboots, and remakes. The laziness of Hollywood is painfully obvious in 2019. If they can take an old movie and slap a new coat of paint on it, they will. And in 2019, a new coat of paint means swapping out the men for the women. Obviously, Ghostbusters 2016 was the biggest example of the failed gender swaps, but it's hardly the only one. Since Ghostbusters 2016, we've had Overboard, Ocean's 8, What Men Want, The Hustle, which is a remake of Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, Splash, Lord of the Flies is rumored, and High Fidelity is now a TV series with Zoe Kravitz. What do all these gender-swapped remakes and reboots have in common? They all suck, and they pale in comparison to the originals, both creatively and financially. It would be completely unfair to say that gender-swapped films are the sole reason Hollywood sucks. It's not true. There have been a whole bunch of crap remakes over the last decade, like RoboCop, Total Recall, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Ben-Hur, and a whole slew of Disney animated films. Hell, in 2019 alone, we've had Dumbo, The Lion King, Aladdin, Pet Sematary, Child's Play, The Hustle, which is essentially Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, The Lady and the Tramp, Cold Pursuit, and Alita Battle Angel. Though in the case of Alita Battle Angel, I guess it's just an adaptation. Last November, Den of Geeks posted an article titled 121 Remakes and Reboots Currently in the Works, and it's a doozy. I'll spare you the entire list and read you none of it. These remakes have very little reason to exist outside of a company's desire to make easy money, and people pick up on that. The most recent film that people saw right through was Men in Black International. It's like the Russians say, Veni Vidi Vici. It came, it went, it flopped. Normally when these things flop, we get the racist, sexist argument, but surprisingly, Sony's top boss, Tom Rothman, has an honest answer. Sony boss blames Men in Black International failure on not strong story idea. The summer box office has not been kind to movies not released by Disney, and one of the season's biggest bombs is Sony's Men in Black International. Directed by the Fate of the Furious helmer F. Gary Gray, the latest Men in Black film was expected to relaunch the once popular Sony franchise following 2012's Men in Black 3. In a recent interview with Business Insider, Sony Motion Picture Group chairman Tom Rothman admitted Men in Black International was not the success Sony had hoped it would be at the box office. I think it's a matter that the audience really liked the film and the cast was wonderful. Tessa Thompson and Chris Hemsworth were great and did a terrific job. But if we made any mistake, I think it was probably that there was not a strong enough idea in the story, Rothman said, especially when you compare that to Jumanji, which had a very, very strong idea. So the lesson of it is we have a pretty darn good batting average around here. But you're never going to bat 1,000, and you need to continue to take risks and try to manage risks. In the case of Men in Black, we had 2 co-financiers on the movie, and that manages the risk. I really do believe you cannot eliminate risk in the movie business. If you try to eliminate risk, you try to eliminate creativity. And if you eliminate creativity, you will eliminate success. Well, Tom, if you eliminate creativity and originality, you get Men in Black International. So it's almost like the audience didn't want another Men in Black film without Will Smith, the star of the franchise. Interesting. Bad movies like this hurt the future of a franchise. Men in Black is effectively dead. That's another series Sony can't dig up because the people are done with it. Sony is attempting to salvage Ghostbusters with Jason Reitman's Ghostbusters 2020, but that is yet to be released, so we can't say if the plan worked. Will Sony throw money at Will Smith for Men in Black 4? Who knows? But they better do something quick before Tommy Lee Jones passes away. Another reason for the failure of films like Men in Black International, Ghostbusters 2016, and a myriad of other films is on the political slant of the entertainment and the way the media handles reporting it. In other words, it's called wokeness, and people just don't like it. It has infected franchises and people are getting tired of it. Marvel is the latest victim. Well, propaganda tool for it. Inherently, women-led films aren't woke. What makes a film woke is when it's solely sold on its progressive agenda. Thor, Love and Thunder isn't sold on the epic continuation of our favorite Asgardian hero. No, it's just sold on female Thor and bi Valkyrie. And in its current state, it exists to promote an agenda. It's like the build-up to Captain Marvel. It was all about her. These woke movies don't exist to tell a story, they just exist for social media cred. Wokeness, or a political slant, can definitely have an impact on even the biggest of entertainment giants. Netflix has seen its biggest decline since 2011, as they lost subscribers well into the 6-figure range, and their international growth was 50% of what they expected. There are a multitude of reasons for people to leave Netflix, but personally, I feel that there's an overabundance in Netflix original content, and that original content has a strong political slant that makes me want to avoid all of it. Entertainment can have a strong message that promotes a better world, but this decade has rendered Hollywood unable to do that. Subtlety is the key to changing people's perceptions about race, sexual orientation, tolerance, etc. And in many ways, this woke entertainment is causing people to regress socially. What does the future hold for this brand of entertainment? Well, to find out, we have to go back to the past, to a time where things were much worse, but the ideas were so much better. And we'll talk about that next Thursday. So folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it all over social media, and make sure that you're subscribed to this channel for part 2 next Thursday, where we're going to discuss how you tell a very engaging, progressive, in quotation, story about wanting a better world. We're going to be talking about, well, we're not going to tell you. We'll just talk about it next time. So, what do you think about all this woke, in quotation mark, entertainment? Personally, I'm fed up with it. I feel like Tommy Wiseau. I'm fed up with this world. I'm just fed up with this woke. I don't like it. It's, like I said in the video, women-led films aren't the problem. Bad, lazy films that cash in on political points are the problem. You know, if Hollywood had a million great ideas, they wouldn't be doing shit like this. So that is my problem, and I want to know what your problem is down below. So folks, if you're a super fan of this channel, join our Patreon page. $1 a month helps, but $5, which is only 17 cents a day, goes even further. And if you're a current patron and you haven't checked it out recently, well, you guys got a 30-minute video of us at Horror Hound last year with Dion in the turkey suit. You're going to get World Class Bullshitters After Hours, and we have something special planned for our $5 and up tier members. What is it? Well, find out tonight. But until then, folks, do the one thing I always ask. No, it's not to go see a movie. No, it's not to go subscribe to PewDiePie. What it is just simple. Go out into the world and be excellent to each other.